That's what we're doing here today. That's why you're all here. You are acting in defense of religious freedom. Thank you all for being here. One of the distinctive characteristics of America is the inalienable right of religious freedom, which precedes the state. That's what's at stake. If a government is truly concerned about freedom and equality for all peoples, then its first act must be the protection of this right, not the destruction of it under the guise of some other cause. We know what's going on here. That's why we're all here today. Our eyes are wide open. What so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and
Scripture says it's good that we're gathered here together. And it is a good day when we gather for this cause, religious liberty. It is good that we come here together to embrace religious freedom and for what it is, an indispensable right. We are here also to express our opposition to the HHS mandate. We come together regardless of what faith we practice, even with those who practice possibly no faith at all, because of our prediction and conviction that religious freedom will not be subverted to an intrusive government.
If we allow our freedoms to be removed from us, we will not be able to practice our faith or live as people of character and faith without living in defiance of our government.
That's right.
And the Founding Fathers knew this, so they penned the First Amendment. Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of a religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof.
Nationwide, the shift moved from making home education possible to keeping it free. This proved to be as big a task as ever, as you may recall that in 1994, President Bill Clinton had a solid Democratic majority of the House, the Senate, and the White House, as well as a huge lobby of the National Education Association. We were afraid as homeschoolers we might go backwards and lose that freedom that we had gained so hard fought. But we had faith that Western democracies lack the will to punish honest people with good motives.
But today we're very, very much concerned about the erosion of religious freedoms right here in America. In fact, it was over Bill Murray that prayer and Bible reading was taken out of our public schools by the U.S. Supreme Court 50 years ago, a half of a century ago. It's hard to believe. Thus began a long saga of our religious liberties being taken away. Now this year, we are concerned about the religious freedoms by religious and charitable organizations who might face an added tax or a fine to holding to their long-standing traditions, to their convictions, and most importantly, their conscience. God help us.
Well, Pharaoh's response was, he hardened his heart, and he said, you know, I don't know who the Lord is, and I'm not going to let his people go into the wilderness. And that was a bad strategy on Pharaoh's part. He lost his nation.
3 years ago, I studied the Bacchus Plan. I don't know if you all know what the Bacchus Plan is, but the Bacchus Plan was essentially the framework that led to the health care bill that it has essentially turned into this oppressive law that we see in place today. 3 years ago, I studied it and I was motivated to call it out for what it was. An overzealous power grab by federal government and by members of the federal government who wrongly believe that the federal government is in charge of our lives. So, I studied it and I gave speeches on it. I went all over Florida talking about it, and my point was, they're going to interfere with the ability of you, the patient, to interact with your doctor. They're going to interfere with your ability to choose the plan that you want. They're going to interfere with your ability to figure out how's the best way to die. And boy, I was wrong. I was wrong because I had no idea that they go after freedom of religion as well. The quintessential, most important liberty given to us by our Constitution, correct myself, it was given to us by our Creator. But memorialized in the Constitution. That quintessential, most important liberty that gave rise to at least 4 others. Freedom of speech, right from freedom of worship. Freedom of assembly, right from freedom of worship. Freedom of the press, right from freedom of worship. And yes, the freedom to bear arms, right from freedom of worship.
The unjust HHS mandate violates all that our republic was founded on, and personally, my freedom of conscience. I have always known and understood that in my country and in my community, I have the unique ability to practice my faith freely. This is not the case in many other countries around the world, and so I am grateful to be a citizen of the USA. It is our privilege in the United States to have a First Amendment right which guarantees each of us the freedom of religion and freedom of speech. Having freedom of religion allows me to attend a house of worship of my choice, to worship as much or as little as I choose, and to raise my children within the faith that has given me so much guidance, strength, and wisdom throughout my own life. It is of utmost importance to me to be able to raise my children not only to learn what it means to be Catholic, but to envelop them in the warmth and embrace that comes from being part of a faith-based community, whether it's in my church, in any one of your churches, or your synagogues, or in the privacy of our own homes. We all need to stand up and protect this right to worship freely and without fear of our government.